Totally unbelievable.
You're going to say it transcends all the normal laws of physics?
I am, yes. I mean, it does. It's preposterous.
Isn't it? I often think dimensional transcendentalism is preposterous, but it works. Would you like to look around?
May I?
Please.
Well, now we are here, why don't you tune up 1980 and we can, well, leave?
I can't.
Oh, why can't you?
Because if Sutek isn't stopped, he'll destroy the world.
But he didn't, did he? I mean, we know the world didn't end in 1911.
Do we?
Yes, of course we do.
All right. If we leave now, let's see what the world will look like in 1980.
I say, this is like something by that novelist chap, Mr. Wells.
1980, Sarah, if you want to get off.
It's a trick!
That's the world as Sutek would leave it. Desolate planet circling a dead sun.
It can't be! I'm from 1980.
Every point in time has its alternative, Sarah. You've looked into alternative time.
Fascinating. Do you mean the future can be chosen, Doctor?
Not chosen, shaped. The actions of the present fashion the future.
So a man can change the course of history?
To a small extent. It takes a being of Sutek's almost limitless power to destroy the future. Well...
We've got to go back.
yes.
Welcome back to the channel, everyone. I'm Saladino. Neil Druckmann retcons The Last of Us again, undermining Part 1's ending. I don't think this undermines Part 1's ending at all, and I'm surprised people are framing it this way. Fans weren't happy about Druckmann wiping out the original TLOU's main moral dilemma. Main moral dilemma. This isn't the main moral dilemma. Okay, let me read this article. It's not long, and I don't have a problem with the author. This isn't a Stacey Henley or Alyssa Mercante, but the retcon that this article is talking about doesn't really change anything. It's just embarrassing. It just goes to show the lack of principles that Druckmann has. He'll say anything to try and prop up The Last of Us Part 2, which is just one big retcon anyway. But let's read. This is by a gentleman named Theodore Mackenzie for a site I've never heard of called 80LV. I think it's 80 level. I'm probably going to check out more of this site because it seems like it's on the other side of the typical gaming, gamer journal type bullshit. Anyway, say what you will about The Last of Us Part 2 Electric Boogaloo or the series TV adaptation. There's no denying that the OG 2013 The Last of Us was a once-in-a-generation masterpiece. Yes, this is something that I would absolutely 100% agree with. Alright, back to the article. Aside from the obvious elements that made the game so great, like its standout gameplay and engaging story, one of its strongest aspects was the moral ambiguity of its ending, which, for those who, 12 years later, still aren't aware, was whether Joel was morally right to stop the Firefly doctors from killing Ellie in hopes of creating a cure for cordyceps. What made the ending so memorable and thought-provoking was, besides the obvious save the de facto daughter versus save the world dilemma, the uncertainty over whether or not Fireflies would even succeed in producing the remedy, fueling years' worth of speculation and pages upon pages of discussion between those who sided with Joel and those who believed his decision doomed humanity. Alright, now, so here's where I disagree, and I, again, can't believe anyone thinks that whether or not the Fireflies could have created a cure even mattered to the actual point of the story. Because it doesn't. It didn't. It don't. Whether or not the Fireflies could have made a cure is just one of those things that you use in support of Joel's decision. and against the idea that we're supposed to believe that Joel doomed humanity because he stopped the Fireflies. It's just one of those things Joel could have said to Ellie in part 2, where he could be like, look, they didn't even bother to wake you up and get your consent to perform the surgery. You were just a piece of meat to them. Abby-sexuals want to talk about consent, but the Fireflies didn't get the consent, nor did they even give Ellie a last meal, or even wait to prep her for surgery. As soon as they found her drowned body, they wheeled her into the operating room. They didn't let Joel say goodbye. It was ridiculous how quickly they went to cut her brain out. Like, what was the rush? It's not like even if they had a cure, they were going to be able to mass produce it. The doctor already had Abby there with him safe and sound, so it's not like he needed to hurry up to save her from a bite or something. So I'm saying this to say, these are just things on a practical level that people were talking about to argue against emotionally manipulative people who were calling Joel a monster, completely ignoring the fact that Joel cares about Ellie, not this nebulous humanity bullshit. It's wild how these sociopaths who defend quote-unquote part 2 want you to sympathize with Abby and the doctor who nobody got to know. And we're supposed to care about humanity in this fucked up zombie apocalypse. But we're supposed to condemn the people we watched go through so much shit together in the game. The people we got to know and bond with and care about. We're supposed to forget about them in favor of Abby and the doctor and humanity, whatever that's supposed to be. So, could the Fireflies create a cure or not? It's certainly a debate people can have. And while healthy debate and differences of opinion are always welcome and should be celebrated, it's no secret that Naughty Dog's current studio head and The Last of Us Part 2 director Neil Druckmann has his own ideas about how you should think. True, absolutely true. Since taking control of the franchise, he's consistently pushed the idea of Joel as the bad guy, most notably by killing him off in Part 2. Something many fans still haven't forgiven and likely never will. So, most of us expected Joel to be killed in the second game. What we didn't expect is how they did it, how soon they did it, and that they would force us to play as his killer. And not just play as his killer, but all the emotionally manipulative tricks they pulled in the game and out of the game to force you to like her. That's what this is about for Druckmann, this whole, oh no, the cure was good, absolutely 100% going to work. He's just doing this to paint everyone who loves Joel as the bad guys. He can intellectually defend Abby by saying, again, Joel killed her dad, Joel doomed humanity. But emotionally, most of the fans are with Joel and Ellie, and there's nothing these idiots can do about it. You can't shame us into liking or accepting Abby. You can't make us take her side. You've been doing this now for 5 years, and it still hasn't worked.
I don't like what I see.
They can never make me like you. Fuck you and your daddy too.
Bing, bop, boom, 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 bop, bam. The type of shit I'm on you wouldn't understand.
Now, with HBO's The Last of Us Season 2 facing the same backlash Part 2 did in 2020, reflected in lower viewership compared to Season 1 and dismal review scores, Druckmann has come forward with a bombshell retcon many perceived as a last-ditch effort to frame Joel as the villain, answering a rhetorical question no one wanted answered and revealing that yes, Fireflies would have succeeded. There's no way for Druckmann to say that and for it to make sense for reasonable people. Because this is all happening in the middle of a zombie apocalypse with no infrastructure, how are they going to be able to mass produce the cure? How much of it would they be able to make from Ellie and then test on someone? How is that going to change society? All these different factions fighting over territory and trying to gain power over everyone. Are we all supposed to believe that they're going to stop fighting each other so that they can cure people if they get bit? People are still going to get killed in a zombie apocalypse, and nobody seems to agree on who should be in charge to rebuild society anyway. But here's the thing. Talk about a dropping a bombshell, and I think most people should realize this, though. Joel didn't stop the Fireflies because he didn't think they could create a cure. Joel stopped the Fireflies to save Ellie's life. He didn't give a shit if they could create a cure or not. That's the debate, whether or not Joel was right to stop the Fireflies from even trying to make a cure either way. And, by trying to make a cure by killing Ellie. It's not a moral dilemma if Joel was making a practical decision. If he was like, You're not going to be able to make a cure because infrastructure. How can you mass produce this? Blah, blah, blah. What happens if raiders come along and try to take it from you? Blah, blah, blah. No.
Tell me the cordyceps, the growth inside her, has somehow mutated. It's why she's immune. Once they remove it, they'll be able to reverse engineer a vaccine. A vaccine.
I don't care!
Joel lost his daughter at the beginning of the apocalypse. Not to an infected, not to a clicker or a bloater or a stalker. No, he lost his daughter to a soldier, to a man in uniform, who killed her for the quote-unquote good of humanity. Sarah died in his arms. And I just think it's so funny how that means nothing to the Abby sexuals. Abby didn't even see Joel kill her dad. And the guy was literally about to kill this girl. Joel wasn't going to let that happen again. It's also funny how activists love buzzwords like trauma, and in the show, they have Joel going to therapy. But they don't ever look at Joel saving Ellie as anything other than him being selfish. Like, they don't say, oh, this is a trauma response. No, to them, it's just a privileged white man doing toxic masculinity. Okay, so back to the article. He goes, speaking on the Sacred Symbols podcast, timestamp 5343, Druckmann stated that the development team's intent at the time was that the doctors would have indeed created the cure if it wasn't for Joel's involvement.
Sure.
Sure, Jan.
Now, is our science a little shaky that now people are now questioning it? People are always questioning it. Yeah, it was a little shaky. It's not a little shaky. And now people are questioning that. It's not a new thing that people are questioning that. I can't say anything. All I can say is our intent was that they would have made a cure. That makes the most interesting philosophical question for what Joel does. No, it doesn't. He's so full of shit. He's only saying this to add more ammunition for the Abby-sexuals who keep screeching that Joel deserved to die because he was a monster and because he killed Abby's dad. The only interesting debate about whether or not the Fireflies would have made a cure is debating how they would actually be able to do it, given the lack of infrastructure and resources in the middle of a zombie apocalypse. And when you get into that, it's a wash. Even if they could make up a cure, it would only be good for like one person or maybe two. Back to the article here, he goes, credit where it's due. Druckmann did acknowledge before revealing the intent that, however you interpret the ending, if that's your takeaway, he can't question it. Of course he can't question it. There's nothing he can do about that. He's trying to with this like propaganda BS he keeps doing. But, I mean, the whole point of the second game is to try to make you believe that Joel was wrong. That said, the very fact that he gave a definitive answer on Joel's guilt or innocence sparked heavy criticism on social media. But that's not the question. His innocence has nothing to do with whether or not they could create a cure. But fans on Joel's side slammed Naughty Dog's shot caller for retconning his own opinion into canon. And even those not necessarily siding with Joel argued the reveal undermined the experience, contradicted in-game lore, and was, in general, unnecessary. So the article shows you like a series of tweets that this guy found. And you have this one guy who's like, this pretty much kills the whole moral argument. Now that we've got a clear answer. It's like, calm down, dude. You'll be fine. The moral argument is, should Joel have stopped the Fireflies at all? Yes, because he's stupid and doesn't understand the world building. You could literally find recordings in the game where they tried and failed to get a cure from immune people many times, and fungal diseases like this one can't even be cured by vaccines. That part is true, and also the fact that Druckmann is stupid and doesn't understand the world building is true too. The thing about the finding recordings in the game, it seemed like that's what I saw too. When you're going and fighting your way to get to Ellie, you find recordings and statements where it looks like they're saying, yes, there are other people that we've tested this on. Ellie is different. And it's like nothing they've ever seen before. But it did seem to suggest that there were other immune people. But I don't know. Maybe I just didn't understand the jargon. And then there's this other guy. This is how I really feel about all of this. This actually means nothing to me and is total conjecture. Lols. Exactly. That's how I feel. Nothing Druckmann says about the Last of Us story means anything to me at this point. And then you have this girl, Momo. probably, like I said, I said this in another video where, when they say things like fash, they take fascist and try to make it sound like it's this nickname, like Momo or something. So anyway, this girl Momo goes, he's such an annoying author because the beauty of the OG game's ending and the premise of part 2 was that we didn't know. And we were led to believe that whatever they would have done to Ellie would have led to nothing anyway. What a way to retroactively tarnish your ending. Okay. Settle down, Momo. That's not why the ending is so great. Like, I don't have a problem with her, dragging Druckmann, but the ending isn't great because it's like, well, we didn't know if the cure would actually work. It's not, hey, could the Fireflies make a cure? Wow. Something to think about. No, it was, what did Ellie mean by, okay. Of course she meant, I know you're lying, but I love you anyway, so I'm going to accept it. It didn't mean, okay, yeah, you took away my consent because I can never trust you now. The thing is, this thing about, Joel took away Ellie's consent, but Ellie never gave consent because she was never asked. Ellie was 14, maybe 15 at that point, depending how long, like when her birthday is versus when they actually, finally meet up with the Fireflies, but whatever. So she's 14. Even if Joel knew she would accept it because she's a good girl or because she's suffering from survivor's guilt, she's not old enough to be making a decision like that. How could the person who made this be so wrong? He didn't make it. That's the thing. This ruins the whole moral argument because now we have a definitive answer. Again, that's not the moral argument. That's a practical argument. The moral argument is, should Joel have stopped them? And yes, he should have. And in this tweet, and I've seen this guy before, he's usually an asshole, defending woke shit all the time in really smug and disingenuous ways. But I'm really surprised to see him, of all people, say this. This guy, what's his name? Rhino the Bouncer. And Joel was right about everything. Because nobody owes their own life or that of their loved one. Especially an unconscious child who cannot consent, or anyone, really, even for a cure or a greater good.
You're goddamn right.
So yeah, in a moral sense, yes, it was absolutely correct what Joel did. But this thing about, oh no, now that Druckmann has confirmed that the Fireflies were actually going to create a cure, it makes Joel seem even worse, is absurd. Because how many of you actually think, anybody who actually thinks that's the problem or that's the issue and that's the crux of the moral argument, just honestly ask yourself, do you really believe, knowing what you know about Joel, knowing what you know about the first game and the things that Joel and Ellie went through, knowing Joel's history, the opening of the game and all that stuff, do you really believe that Joel would not have saved Ellie if he believed the cure would work?
Sweet Jesus.
Doctor? What are you doing in here? I won't let you take her. This is our future. Think of all the lives we'll save. Don't...
You fucking animal!
Carrie, shut the hell up! God, just take the girl and leave, okay?
Come on, baby girl. I got you.